to Nazareth to I-24 News correspondent Emily Rose, who is outside a voting station. Emily, we're hearing that numbers regarding voter turnout are slightly down right now at the moment. It's 4:30 p.m. here, Israel time, compared to 2015. But what can you tell us about Israeli Arabs at the station where you are at? Are many Israeli Arabs going to vote today? What concerns them the most when they go to the ballot box?
Well, Tal, earlier this morning, the numbers in terms of Arab voter turnout were actually quite worrisome. It looked that only about 8% of Arabs were coming out to the ballot box. But now, just in the past half hour, that number has jumped to about 20%. So it's looking a little more hopeful. As you mentioned, excitement is in the air on election day in Israel, but maybe not here in Nazareth where we're standing. We're here at the central polling station of Nazareth, this school behind me. And what we've seen over the course of just the past few hours is just a slow trickle of voters, not very much excitement. And I have to emphasize here that on a day in Nazareth when there are local municipal elections, as is pretty indicative of most Arab communities, in local elections, these polling stations are flocked with people who are excited usually to be making their voices heard at the ballot box. But in national elections, as you can see, it's looking more or less like a ghost town. We even did a little walk around the polling station a bit earlier. We saw almost no one. Behind me, the 8 ballot boxes, 8 rooms that are open to vote in. We really saw more police, more officials here than actual voters.
All right. On the ground, bootstrapping journalism, walking around looking for voters. There are few there. Emily, thank you so much for that live report from Nazareth. Einat, the Arab parties have never before in Israel's history agreed to be part of a coalition. Early in this election, there was some belief perhaps this could be the year that things change. It appears unlikely. Why don't the Arab parties, given that they do have a fair percentage of seats in the Knesset, they have a big voice, why don't they want to participate in a coalition, and could that change?
The Arab parties still very much represent the deep underlying ambivalence that the Arab citizens of Israel have towards Israel itself. This is a country that they did not want to come into existence. Many of them are descendants of people who fought against its very existence. And from the first day of their becoming citizens of a country that they never wanted to be, have developed a very ambivalent attitude towards the state. And the Arab parties represent that ambivalent attitude. They do not boycott the elections. They are members of the Israeli parliament, so they're in. But on the other hand, they say, we're not completely in. We don't feel comfortable being part of the government. So they will negotiate things from the outside. They will be often very effective and very successful members of parliament, but they have not yet felt that the time has come to say clearly, we are citizens of this country, this is our country, it's ours, and therefore we will participate fully, and will be members of a government and a coalition that gives us what we ask for.
We heard from those Arab voters.
Exactly. Very diverse picture.
Very diverse picture, but a lot of them say, you know, our focus isn't the Palestinian question or two-state solution. We want to know why our roads are so bad, why we can't drive to work without roadblocks. We want to know why our crimes aren't being solved. It's not safe for our kids to walk home from school. Murders are going on. The best way to address those issues is from inside the government on those topics.
You are right that that's true in theory, but to date, the price of that was seen as a form of collaboration, as a form of legitimizing Zionism, of legitimizing the idea that this is their country and that they are fully its citizens. This is still something that they are queasy about. It might change over time. I think both Jews and Arabs in Israel, certainly the majority of Jews, are waiting for a day when the Arabs will say, this is our country, we no longer have an ambivalent attitude about it, and we want to participate fully in a coalition government that will take care of our concerns.
Do you think that Arab lawmakers in the Israeli Knesset are really representing the majority of Israeli Arab voters?
The same contradictions that exist in the Jewish population exist also in the Arab population. If you go to polls of Professor Sami Smocha, who is following for many years the Israeli Arabs, and if you go to the democratic institution, you find out in their polls that there is a contradiction, there is a kind of gap between what the Arab thinks and what the Knesset member thinks. And we have to bear in mind one thing. I'm not a big supporter of Netanyahu, don't tell anybody, but the last decade was the best one for the Israeli Arabs. If you think about income, if you think about education, the change that took place in the last 10 years is the biggest one comparing to any other decade before. We cannot ignore it. We cannot. Yes, I don't like the way Netanyahu and the right-wingers are speaking about the Israeli Arabs. But practically, there was quite a positive change that we have to remember. So to boycott the election will be counterproductive for the Arabs themselves.